Okay, everybody, thanks for being here. What we're going to do tonight is talk a little bit about the benefit of our Dressura business and how we can help those that have served our country honorably, that have come home wounded, that are just simply looking for a sense of purpose and a something to do that can occupy them. We know that 22 veterans a day take their lives. And if they had something to look forward to and had financial self-reliance available to them, maybe we could drop that number 1 or 2 or 10, who knows? But it's certainly worth us having this webinar and the content that we have. So let me go back to desktop sharing here and we'll get into it. And I'm going to read this document to you that Kathy and I, Dr. Dudek and I generated. And frankly, it's striking a nice chord that I want you all to just simply sit back and enjoy. What we're calling this program is Generous Hearts Rewarding Warriors. And it gives the opportunity for civilians and veterans alike to pay it forward. And 22 veterans take their lives daily. Scores more live destitute, homeless, and without purpose. Our mission is to take veteran-friendly individuals and corporations. Okay, again, who is it that you know that would want to help us that owns a corporation or is just an individual, and offer them an opportunity to personally sponsor veterans into our Dressura business, putting these veterans into their own business? Then we will work with these veterans. You will personally sponsor those veterans. And I'll have a strong list of them, and I'll tell you why in a minute. We will then mentor and coach them. I am going to create very specific training videos for the military because we seem to connect for obvious reasons. We understand each other. But the core focus here is to offer a helping hand and not a handout, because we know that most veterans wouldn't accept a handout, but they certainly would embrace an opportunity that could offer them hope, that would be taught to them by, again, somebody that they can relate to, being myself, a former United States Marine Corps sergeant. And there's always been talk of helping veterans. And guys, this is what drove me crazy. Kathy and I had long conversations that we hear as talking points, that we got to help veterans. The veterans need more. The veterans deserve better. And that, I can tell you that the VA hospital system didn't get to as bad as it is. And it's putrid. I have to tell you, I've been up to the one here in Long Beach, and it's disgusting. And it didn't happen overnight. It certainly didn't happen in the last 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 years. It's happened since these hospitals have been operational. And a side note, all of these veterans that are coming home, unless you serve 20 years, you have no benefits, including myself. I served 5 years. I have no benefit other than the ability to use my VA home loan, which wouldn't finance a home that I would want to live in. It's such a low number. So outside of that, all of these veterans coming home that are not feeling like they're fitting into the civilian world today. And that's my goal. My goal is to change that mindset for the veterans. And this is no slam on civilians. I'm just speaking honestly, truthfully, and from the heart here, but factually as a veteran. We know that the civilian population wants to have everybody believe that they want to help veterans. Okay, and the result is that most will use it as a great talking point for a discussion, but nobody does anything, which is why the veterans are in such a poor place. And so it's my job and Kathy's job as leaders in this company to offer a helping hand and not a handout. Because there's always been talk of helping veterans. When it's a topic of concern, it seems that everybody rallies, but few actually show up. As I said, it's a great discussion topic, but seldom are their results worth noting. I am engaged with veterans that need purpose and self-sufficiency. Partnering with us and them will start a real movement with teeth that gets the job done in the most caring of ways, with 100% of the contribution of civilians and or corporations going to the veterans' new business, unlike traditional charities with overhead salaries, etc. Many veterans today, having returned home for many reasons, are simply struggling. Some are confined to a home because of injuries or a room, right? Having once been a great defender and warrior for the United States, they gave us the ability to sleep at night. But now we can take their minds and plug them into a successful plan that we've already proven that military minds will understand, because I wrote it with the understanding of standard operating procedures, which is what military training is all about. You get to give this gift by simply reaching out to those you know who are business owners and explaining to them that the veteran issue across this country is deplorable. It's disgusting. And how good would you feel knowing that you put a veteran in business? That we're going to mentor, we're going to hold their hand, we're going to groom them, we're going to coach and mentor them into position to be successful. As a former Marine, it's my obligation and duty, and that of Dr. Cathy's as a former Air Force major, to offer success to any and all veterans needing our help and support. This is our way of simply paying it forward. I will raise their bar of lonely desperation from zero to everything over time by showing them hope and results while teaching them to pass it on too. The reason this is important, guys, is I'm speaking to 1,000 veterans on May 20th and May 21st. 2 different speaking engagements each day, so 4 times. I am looking to sponsor 200 veterans into your and our businesses that simply need our help. And here's how that's going to flow. A corporation or an individual can sponsor a single veteran for $400, which is Fast Start 1, $280 plus $40 enrollment plus tax and freight. It will actually be less than this, but this represents the maximum. Then sponsor 4 veterans for $1,500. Sponsor 10 for $3,500. And here's the deal. For every 4 veterans that you get sponsored by a corporation, you will take your Fast Start earnings, because you get the personal sponsorship of each one of these Fast Starts. You're going to take that Fast Start commission of $84, assuming you're a Fast Start 3 earner, and you're going to invest it back and sponsor a 5th. So for every 4, you'll sponsor 1. Okay? And here's some of the benefits for the individual or corporate sponsorship, some of their rewards. Each personally sponsored veteran, I will have their profile and have a picture of them and their contact information that will become the sponsors, meaning the person, that corporation or individual that wants to underwrite these veterans. We're going to make it like a UNICEF program where you get to see who they are and put a face on this and cause them to connect and allow these individuals or corporations to possibly mentor these veterans too by reaching out to them if they would like. But if they want to be anonymous, that's fine too. We'll still send them updates. We'll keep you apprised of their journey and how they're doing, how many lives that they've impacted as a result of your support and sponsorship, coupled with our guidance, tutelage, and commitment. In essence, these individuals and companies will adopt these veterans, recognizing that perhaps their sacrifices of being in the military have made our lives and that of our families a bit better. And this is simply our way of paying it forward and doing something instead of talking about it. And guys, we've got the perfect vehicle. Because as a community, we can create a movement that will alter their future dynamically in many ways by offering a helping hand today. The only way we're going to do this, though, and you can use your JSU application for enrollment to capture the credit card information of the sponsor, the individual or the corporation that wants to sponsor veterans. Because we do not want to accept funds. We want no question of impropriety, nothing at all. We do not want to touch a nickel. We want 100% of this money to go into the enrolling of, supporting of each and every single one of these veterans. And all the charges for you as a corporate or an individual sponsor of a veteran is one time. There will be no recurring fees. of any kind, because our job is to take that veteran now and cause them to become profitable over the cost of your investment in them in the very first 30 days. We have several testimonials. Amy Bidewolf, Enterprise. Dr. Kathy Dudick, Enterprise. Dr. Sherry Lechner Lunato, Enterprise. Liz Malone, Enterprise. Dr. Dorothy Sprecher, Enterprise Silver. Gloria and Bruce Crockett, Endeavor 3. Here's the business opportunity in its full detail, so that there is no question of what we're doing. Fully transparent and exposing what we're doing exactly, so that those with a kind and generous heart can help us, knowing that our intentions are solid. And as the single highest ranking individual of almost 100,000 partners in JSURO, we've got this. We know how to do this. I will apply the disciplines drilled into me in the Marine Corps into the trainings for these veterans that they can connect to, that they can relate to. Because, you know, one of the bigger problems that we have today is the military coming home can't merge or meld into the civilian world. And why is that? When the military are the best our country has to offer. I mean, you think about it, right? The military themselves, or we hear it all the time that companies are hiring veterans. They want veterans because they're disciplined, they're respectful, they're responsible. It's not happening. It's great talk. But what I found is this, is that in the military, we are taught black and white, right and wrong. There is no gray area between the two, because when you allow for gray area, that's compromise, and that means lives. And while that's certainly not the case here, it's what we were taught. So what happens is we come home with this level of commitment and understanding of truth and the value of right and wrong, and nothing in the middle matters. It really doesn't. I don't care whether you're a civilian or former military. If you wanted to cloud yourself by compromising in the gray area, then are you really standing up for principles? And that's the thing about military. That's why we end up feeling like we're the ones that are a thorn. Well, I'm telling you that we're switching that around. My message to these 1,000 veterans, 2,000 veterans over 2 days is going to be quite simple. They do not need to apologize for coming home and serving all of us. What they need to do is hold their chin high, recognizing that what they bring to this country is better than most. Their commitment, their ability to be that warrior, to be responsible, and to be given the level of pressure as most are young men and young women to defend this country, and then they come home and we discard them, and we do. You know, it's a topic that I hear all these politicians, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. Okay, well, how about we start with this? How about the wall is built by all of our veterans? How about we give them a sense of purpose that if there is going to be a wall, and I'm not getting political, right? But if there is going to be a wall, shouldn't the veterans in each of the border states be allowed to build that wall? Wouldn't that give them a sense of purpose, a legacy that would last forever? And that's what we're doing here with business. We're going to give them an opportunity to create financial self-reliance, a sense of worth. And then we're going to teach them to pay it forward. So here's how we do it. JSURO International is a proud member of the DSA, and our industry is governed by the Federal Trade Commission. Regardless of what people think, we're a legitimate business. I am ready to sponsor veterans. Here's how we do it. They're going to circle one and initial it. $400 for a single veteran, $1,500 for 4, and $3,500 for 10. Okay, and they're going to put their credit card information in here with their authorizing signature, and the fees spent are explained right here. There is zero profit. There is zero profits. And the profits we make on Fast Start, which is only one time now, is being immediately reinvested into another veteran. Okay, so Dr. Kathy, I know I've taken up all the time here on this, but I sure would appreciate you coming on and saying hello and giving us your thoughts and your feedback.
Hey, Mike. Hi, everybody. Um, well, Mike presented an extraordinarily compelling argument, but the truth is he shouldn't have to make a compelling argument. If you're sleeping in your bed at night, it's because there's some young soldier standing watch for you. I just finished our 3-day 18th annual trauma symposium, and several of my colleagues and my previous commander from the United States Air Force, the 97th Air Mobility Wing, was there. And it was under his leadership that we have now the lowest mortality in the history of warfare. And, nobody ever thinks about this stuff every day. Everybody goes to Starbucks every day and spends $5 and talks about supporting the veterans, but when's the last time you wrote a check? When's the last time you wrote a check for $5 to support our veterans? So it's not a maybe politically correct message this evening, but it's a message that needs to be heard because ours is an all volunteer army. Nobody compelled these young men and women today to join up. They did it on their own. They said, I'll stand guard while you sleep. I'll take patrol. I'll risk the danger of stepping on an IED. The medical corps has done a wonderful job keeping these young people alive after they've put themselves in harm's way. And the truth is, I was in the military, but I served stateside. I served safely on a base in the United States. And, all the people that were at my trauma symposium these last few days, all were in harm's way. One of my former residents who was in Iraq and Afghanistan with 2 young sons at home, babies. My commander in Altos Air Force Base left his family on multiple occasions to stand guard, and we just sleep at night, even I do, taking full advantage of the safety which they guarantee. And they come back, and if you can believe it, they have absolutely no medical care coverage for anything beyond an injury or illness that was sustained during active duty tour. And sometimes we make it really hard for them to prove that it was related to that active duty tour. So let me give you an example. A young Marine who served 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, who now has the GI Bill and is going to college, riding his bike because he can't afford a car, gets hit by a bus on his way to college one day, first classes. And he has a pelvic fracture. He broke both femurs. He has a vascular injury. He's going to be in the hospital. He's going to take intensive rehabilitation to serve. He has absolutely no medical insurance because those injuries were not sustained during his active duty tour. Do you think that's right? But the government is not equipped, and the government is not funded. They cannot cover the costs of all these veterans. This is an all-volunteer army. And so those of us in the civilian sector now, whom these men and women protect, are obligated to stand up and say, well, I'm just not going to go to Starbucks every month and spend $5 every day. And I'm going to support these veterans. So, I can write a check for $150 a day or $150 a month or $100 a month. And, but the truth is what Mike said is true. These people, they're pride, they have pride. And they don't want a handout, but they want a hand up, and they deserve a hand up. And so, for these young people that said, I'll go, so you don't have to go. I mean, I get emotional because I didn't have to go, and my daughter won't have to go because they went. And yet they're struggling, and over 20 of them a day are killing themselves. So, it's our obligation as civilians in this free world to really stand up and say, thank you. Let me give you an opportunity that I found. And so, you really need to take a look at this program. You need to talk to your friends, your family, your acquaintances, the businesses that you know, the businesses that you support, and consider where you spend your money. And maybe for a year you don't go to Starbucks, but I mean, have you heard about the Navy SEAL yesterday? The Navy SEAL, Keating, who lost his life in a firefight defending our world against ISIS? I mean, come on. We deserve to honor these people by giving them an opportunity that could change their lives for the better. And I don't know what more to say. You really can't be overly dramatic about this situation. The government is not going to protect these people. Even the guys from World War II that I took care of when I was active duty, they said, the government promised to take care of me and my family forever. And so I served for 20 years or 30 years. I took fire, and now I have to go on Medicare, and they're abandoning me. And it's really true. It's really a travesty what's happened to these young men and women and to the old men and women. And so just consider, perhaps, you know someone, or you could commit for a one-time donation, or commit to, a larger commitment, friends and family that you could ask. These people said yes. And don't underestimate the safety under which you sleep every night, how that's guaranteed. You hear about these drone strikes now, and you think, oh, the military is very sophisticated, and these drone strikes, they go in, they're just unmanned planes and nobody gets hurt. That's not true. How do you think those targets get marked? One of my colleagues who came and presented at our trauma symposium, he's a flight surgeon, and he is a top marathoner, and one of his duties is to ensure the physical fitness and to help these kids run faster, because we drop these young men and women who are in less than 20 years old, we drop them behind enemy lines into territory to mark these targets so the drones can find them. And so he teaches these men and women how to run fast, because they're literally running for their lives. So, think about that. Maybe you go out for a daily run every day, and, it doesn't really matter. You're just getting your exercise. These guys and girls are running for their lives, and they have families at home. They leave children. They leave husbands and wives when they're injured and killed. And it really can't be emphasized enough what a sacrifice these young people make. So consider giving until it hurts, and being part of this outreach, because it ultimately helps them. It helps you as well. And it can set an example of how we support our young men and women. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. And folks, I really want you to think, we talk about making lists in this business. How about making a list of all the companies that you have relationships with, or family members that that run companies, right? Because, while I would certainly, because here's my goal. I'm speaking to 2,000 veterans. I want to be able to personally have all of us sponsor 200 of them. I have a 20-foot booth that is being designed right now that will qualify them. DD 214s are required, showing honorably discharged or medically discharged. No bad conduct discharge, no dishonorable discharges will be engaged with. Okay, we're going to have a very critical screening element, and the benefit of this is that we're on top of this. We're going to make sure that all of these veterans that are here in Orange County that might simply be your personally sponsored people in your team is going to be taught here locally by me. I'm going to have weekly events for these veterans to cause them to see a sense of community where all of us as veterans are getting together. I'm already looking at handicap facilities where we have ramps. I mean, how wonderful of a thing could this be to take somebody that's just so upset at life and give them a sense of purpose, right? So the 200 that I want us to personally sponsor are right here in my front yard, no longer in the backyard. They're in my front yard. I'm going to work with them like I've never worked with a group of people ever before, because I know the impact. I'm taking this across the country. This is the first event that I'm being asked to speak at, and I'm confident there'll be more as a result. I'm taking this to the Pentagon. So if you're somebody that's been in the military that has alliances, friends that are senior military, that might be able to take a look at this program and help us within the government to get this in front of the VA, the Pentagon, so that all these veterans come home, as they separate, they get to walk right into a business. And it's a one-time benefit from the government of $400 a person, which is nothing in comparison. Nothing. And we'll get them profitable. We'll make them proud again, and also very happy that America did something for them. And then we'll teach them to pay it forward. So thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you being here at this late hour. Dr. Kathy Dudick, I love you. You're an incredible woman and an ambassador for veterans. And I'm just flattered that you and I have partnered from the enlisted ranks to the field grade ranks. And thank you all.